The wind off Lake Michigan sliced through the corridors between skyscrapers like a blade, following me all the way to my apartment door. My fingers, stiff and aching from 18 hours in a professional kitchen, fumbled with the keys. Inside, my industrial loft in the old factory district was a freezer. The antique radiator hissed a futile promise of heat against the exposed brick. I dropped my bag, my shoulders screaming, and leaned against the counter. That's when my phone lit up. A notification from my father. Just a video file named dinnerchat.mov. No text. Puzzled, I tapped it, expecting a pocket dial, a blurry shot of a ceiling. The screen filled with an unsteady close-up view of their dining table in Oak Ridge. Crystal glasses, the remains of what looked like beef Wellington. Then his voice, clear as ice, dripping with a smugness I'd spent a lifetime mistaking for confidence. "Sienna thinks she's buying a seat at this table," my father, Robert, chuckled, swirling a glass of what I knew was a $200 Cabernet. "She's just a glorified kitchen hand, paying off a ghost." Beside him, my sister, Chloe, covered her mouth, her shoulders shaking with silent laughter. "Well," she giggled, "at least the help pays on time." The video ended. The cold in my loft wasn't just in the air anymore. It was in my veins. I didn't scream. I didn't shed a single tear. I just stood there in the profound silence, letting the truth, sharp and ugly, crystallize in the space their words had hollowed out. Before I tell you what I did next, I want to know who's in the room with me. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. Let's build this community of survivors. To understand why that 37-second video shattered my world, you need to know the number 3,850. That was the exact amount, to the dollar, that left my bank account on the first of every month for the last 5 years. It wasn't a gift. It wasn't love. It was the monthly installment on what my family elegantly called the legacy obligation. 5 years ago, Robert decided he was a restaurateur. No experience, just a titanium ego and a line of credit secured against the family home in Oak Ridge. The Gilded Truffle was a spectacular, arrogant failure. When it collapsed, it didn't just take his dream down, it threatened to take the roof over my mother, Diana's, and Chloe's heads with it. So, at 23, I stepped into the wreckage. I took over the payments. I became the silent guarantor, the human bailout. I told myself I was saving them. I looked around my loft. The wind whistled through original, ill-fitting factory windows. I wore 2 sweaters to sleep. My vacations were silent bus rides to clear my head. Every bonus, every overtime penny, every sacrifice of comfort was funneled to Oak Ridge to maintain their 4-bedroom colonial with its renovated kitchen and heated floors. I ate soup from the restaurant's surplus to save on groceries. I had convinced myself this was duty, this was strength. But that black screen on my phone reflected a different truth. It wasn't duty, it was programming. Psychologists call it the fixer's trap. You grow up in a house where chaos is the currency and stability is a product you must manufacture. You learn a brutal equation. Your peace equals their comfort. You don't give freely, you pay ransom. Your wallet opens not from generosity, but from a deep cellular fear of the storm that follows if you don't. For years, I wore the fixer label like a badge of honor, the capable one, the strong one. Hearing Robert's laugh, seeing Chloe's smirk, the trap snapped open. I wasn't their savior. I was their mark. I had been meticulously trained to equate my worth with my utility. I thought I was purchasing their security, but all I was buying was their temporary, contemptuous quiet. I was a subscription service they'd forgotten they subscribed to because the deductions were so automatic, so reliable. My mother's favorite mantra echoed, "Family supports family." Standing in the frozen silence, I saw the brutal, unbalanced math. I was the only one doing the supporting. They were experts at consumption. The legacy obligation wasn't a shared burden, it was a tax on my existence for the crime of being related to them. I looked at my phone. Tomorrow was the first of the month. The automatic transfer was queued. For the first time in 5 years, the thought of that money leaving didn't feel like responsibility. It felt like violation. I wasn't just a daughter, I was an ATM that had just gained consciousness. And I had the power to decline the transaction. I didn't rage, I didn't call to scream. A surgical calm settled over me. I walked to my battered laptop, opened my banking portal. The glow illuminated the scheduled transfer, $3,850, pending. My hand hovered. For 5 years, confirming this had been as involuntary as a heartbeat. Now, my finger felt steady. I moved the cursor, cancel transfer, confirm cancellation. A green banner. Transfer stopped. The digital lifeline was severed, but the silence was now a hum. Robert's words echoed, paying off a ghost. Why mock the very thing saving you? Unless it wasn't saving you anymore. A cold suspicion uncoiled in my gut. I picked up my phone and dialed the bank that held the business loan. I was still an authorized payer on the account, an oversight in his arrogance. The automated system answered. I entered the account number, seared into my memory. Please wait while we retrieve your account information. The current principal balance on this account is $0.00. I made the system repeat it. 0. I pressed for a human. A weary representative confirmed it. That loan was satisfied in full 6 months ago, ma'am. A lump sum payment from the sale of commercial assets. 6 months. For half a year, the ghost had been buried. Robert had sold off the carcass of the gilded truffle, the equipment, the license he'd claimed was worthless, and wiped the debt clean. And he had never told me. He had let me keep sending $3,850 every single month. I opened a calculator. 6 times 3,850 equals $23,100. $23,100. Stolen, not through forgetfulness, but through deliberate, calculated silence. Suddenly, the last 6 months made a grotesque kind of sense. Chloe's sudden brand trip to Costa Rica, the sudden upgrade of my mother's garden to a landscaped oasis, Robert's new collection of single malt scotch. They weren't just ungrateful, they were embezzlers. They had watched me work double shifts in the cold and cashed checks against a debt that no longer existed. The sadness burned away, leaving something clean and sharp. Pure, undiluted resolve. I was no longer dealing with family. I was conducting a forensic audit. The next morning, the bombardment began. 9:15 a.m. Diana, Mom. Sweetheart, just checking in. The payment hasn't posted yet. Is everything okay with your bank? Let me know so your father doesn't start worrying. The performative concern, the soft glove around the iron fist. I archived it. 12:07 p.m. Robert, Dad. Sienna, where is the transfer? Obligations are due. Fix this. The naked command of a man who mistook my compliance for his authority. 1:23 p.m. Chloe, sister, says the deposit for my collab retreat is due today. If you don't send it, I'll lose my slot. This is so unfair. No concern for the family, just her influencer vanity project. My stolen money had been funding her hashtags. I muted my phone. The sound of my knife on the cutting board at work was my new mantra. Slice, sever, silence. By 4 p.m., the cavalry arrived. My aunt, Lydia, the family's chief guilt engineer, left a voicemail. Sienna, honey, it's Aunt Lydia. Your mom is so upset. She's sick with worry. You know how your father's blood pressure gets. Please, just be the bigger person and send the money so we can all have peace. Be the bigger person, the family motto. It always meant swallow the poison so we don't have to smell it. I deleted it. That night, the buzzer for the main building door screamed through my loft. I checked the monitor. Robert and Chloe stood on the sidewalk, backlit by a street lamp. He paced like a caged bull. She scowled at her phone, then up at my window. Robert jabbed the intercom. Sienna, open the door. We're not leaving until we talk. I'm not opening the door. Go home, Robert. Don't you dare play games with me, he roared. This is your family. Open this door. No. Sienna, it's freezing, Chloe whined. Just let us up so we can sort this out. No. I watched. Robert kicked the building's stone facade. His face, contorted in rage on the grainy screen, wasn't that of a concerned parent. It was the face of a scam artist whose payout had just vanished. They left after a 15-minute siege. As their car sped away, I felt no fear, only a cold, clarifying certainty. They had come to collect a debt they knew was fraudulent. They had just proven my case for me. The silence after their departure was electric. I didn't sleep. I brewed strong coffee and opened a new folder on my laptop, the ledger. I dragged in 3 files. 1, the video, evidence of the contempt. 2, the bank PDF, proof of the $0 balance dated 6 months prior, highlighted in yellow. 3, the spreadsheet, a cold clinical tally. $3,850 times 6 equals $23,100. Next to it, a column estimating the cost of Chloe's retreat and the garden renovation. The numbers aligned with sinister perfection. The story was complete. Now it needed the right audience. There was a family email thread, Oak Ridge Updates, used for holiday plans and Chloe's social media milestones. It included everyone: parents, sister, grandparents, aunts, uncles, Lydia, of course. I hit reply all. The email was a press release, not a plea. Subject: notice regarding the legacy obligation and financial reconciliation. To the family. Please be advised that all automatic payments related to the former business loan, the Gilded Truffle, have been permanently terminated. Attached, you will find official documentation from First Oak Ridge Bank confirming the loan was satisfied in full 6 months ago. See highlighted date. Since that payoff date, I have continued to make payments under the belief the debt was active. The total of these overpayments amounts to $23,100. For context on the mindset surrounding these funds, I've also attached a video recording from a recent family dinner. I will not be responding to individual inquiries. All future communication regarding the reconciliation of the $23,100 should be directed through legal channels. Sincerely, Sienna. I attached the files. I took a breath that felt like my first in 5 years. Then I pressed send. It wasn't an email. It was a controlled detonation at the heart of their carefully constructed fiction. The silence that followed was deeper than any before. It was the silence of a stage after the set has collapsed. Weeks later, a neutral third party sent me a short video clip. It showed a different scene. Robert panicked, frantically on the phone, Diana crying not for me, but for their exposed reputation, Chloe screaming about brand integrity. Their perfect world was crumbling, not because I attacked it, but because I had simply removed the fraudulent pillar I'd been propping it up with. A lawyer's letter arrived. They offered a repayment plan of $300 a month. I had my lawyer counter. Full repayment within 90 days, secured by the sale of non-essential assets. No negotiation. They agreed. The first wire for $10,000 hit my account that Friday. Within 6 months, the full $23,100 was returned. I opened a new savings account. I named it the Freedom Fund. It would one day fund culinary school in Paris, a down payment on a warm apartment, and the life I'd postponed. My drafty loft finally felt like a home. My home. I severed all contact. I learned through distant channels that they downsized, took real jobs, and finally learned to live within their own means. The adjustment, I was told, was humbling. People call cutting off family a cruel act. I didn't cut anything. I stopped applying CPR to a relationship that had been dead for years. Walking away wasn't an act of punishment. It was the final, necessary act of survival. By closing their fraudulent account, I didn't just get my money back, I reclaimed my entire life. I am no one's servant, no one's silent partner, no one's mark. I am Sienna, and my ledger, at last, is clean.